Jessica Miller, and today I will be presenting on my educational thinker for this module, which is Socrates. He is a classical Greek philosopher, so born around 469 BC and died around 399 BC after being sentenced to death for corrupting the minds of the youth in Athens. And so, one interesting thing about Socrates is that he never formally wrote down any of his teachings. He was recorded by his students, largely Plato, which is why we have so much of the information that we have on him today. And that's how he got popularized as a leading philosopher in the development of Western thought. And so Socrates is best known for, as far as education is concerned, with his Socratic method. And the Socratic method is essentially geared towards philosophy and rhetoric, and today we largely see it in law schools and in debate as far as kind of cultivating those skills amongst students formally. And so it takes place as a dialogue between two individuals. In our case, it would be a student and a teacher, asking each other questions back and forth about a specific idea or a topic, just to or for the purposes of engaging with critical thinking and adding depth to a conversation. And for as far as teachers are concerned, it kind of gives you it's like a litmus test to see how deeply the students understand what you're talking about within a class or what topics that they're engaging with, and it really helps you to pull out those deeper questions. And so as far as this educational impact is concerned, or essentially the impact of the Socratic method, it promotes teaching, or a teaching style that engages students in higher order thinking or critical thinking, and adding depth to a student's understanding of a topic. And it also allows for teachers to assume the role of a guide rather than a lecturer. So you're not so much disseminating information as you are engaging students with information that they've already had time to work with, assuming that you've already taught them that information. All right, and lastly, it encourages curiosity and independent thinking by engaging students in the why. A lot of students, for example, when you're reading a new text, will say, okay, I completely understand what we're talking about and what we're reading as far as the plot is concerned, but the Socratic method allows you to really dig into what the author is saying and what the social, political implications of those thoughts are. And that's something that can be incredibly useful as far as student engagement is concerned, developing critical thinking skills, and just overall depth in student understanding of a new topic. And so when I was reading, I found a couple critiques, specifically when it concerned law, with the Socratic method and utilizing this method in the classroom, and that was that they don't really have the opportunity to have a cohesive or consistent way of testing students on their knowledge of specific topics. It's much more broad sweeping, and that is something that doesn't really jive as well with our kind of high stakes testing mentality that we've kind of adopted in America, for better or for worse. And that is one critique that they do have. And for me, one thing that I saw is that it's not as applicable when it comes to skill building within a classroom. So it makes it a lot harder to, so you can't really engage with a student on a topic that you haven't really disseminated that information that they need to engage with yet. For example, if I'm doing a vocabulary lesson, or we're in a new unit for my English literature class, we're not going to talk about the implications of using a vocabulary word that we haven't learned yet. And as far as skill building is concerned, you really do have to have that word and understanding of it in your lexicon before you can dig into it and what it means and what its implications are within the text. So that would be my critique of using the Socratic method exclusively. I think it's really, really helpful as far as teaching students to engage on a deeper level, but you do still have that job as an educator to make sure that the students understand what you're doing, and you kind of build on the topics that you're teaching in steps. So thank you so much for your time and for listening to my presentation on Socrates, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.